Stephen Cohen is a prolific historical fiction and non-fiction writer who draws inspiration from his extensive travels to over 50 countries, including year-long residences in 7, and his passion for World War II history, culminating in his upcoming trilogy series Blue Ring Assassins. And Steve is with us here. How are you today?
I'm all right, thank you, Toby. How's yourself?
Excellent, thank you. Now, your upcoming series, Blue Ring Assassins, is getting a lot of attention for its sort of unique blend of World War II history and fiction. So what was it that inspired you to begin on this journey and write this story?
Well, it's quite a strange journey, to be honest. I watched quite a lot of World War II historical stuff on TV, and I was watching a series called the World War Weird.
Oh.
And it goes on about some strange stuff that goes on during World War II, and they mention that they happen to use the Germans happen to use prostitutes to spy on their own people.
Oh.
And I'm like, really? Never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So I went on a journey for about a year and a half, doing a lot of research, and found out that yes, it was actually a fact. It did actually happen. The head of the SD Schellenberg came up with a plan to extract, shall we say, 30 females from the streets of Berlin, train them in espionage, put them into a brothel. The brothel was called Salon Kitty in Berlin. Actually was there. And basically they were there to spy on their own people and any dignitaries that were brought to the establishment. They actually recorded every conversation, and anybody, of course, that was not a Hitlerite was then consequently taken away, arrested, and dealt with accordingly.
Wow.
So I thought, what a great story this would make.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So the Germans started basically bombing London. We started bombing Berlin. The place was razed to the ground. And that's where my girl's story starts.
Yeah. That is a great idea for a story because, I'd never heard of that, and by the sounds of it, you hadn't either. So I suppose it's a great story, but also educational for us to find out that this did happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, the books are actually full of historical facts.
Yeah.
It's laced with true events. And most of them are very unknown or only known to a very few people. There are obviously some of the more known pieces in there. But yes, I try to lace all the stories with true events whenever possible. And so, yeah, well, it's made for a really good series.
Yeah. And were there any challenges that you faced in portraying the experience of these women, authentically?
Well, one of the problems is obviously getting the language correct.
Yeah.
Because we've got German ladies that are obviously throughout the series they become further trained and by the British, and although they speak various different languages, but getting the correct terminology from the era was quite a challenge. Trying to write from a female's perspective, say, as a male is quite difficult as well.
Yeah. And what was your research process? Because, of course, you're, a bit of a World War II enthusiast and clearly already knew a lot. But was there even more that you had to research? I suppose specifically about these women, and I guess was there more general World War II stuff that you had to look into that you maybe didn't already know?
Well, yeah, obviously the research, I spent quite a lot of time researching the brothel, of course. And what actually went on there, how it actually proceeded, and everything that they did. But from also, I had to find out what life was really like for the females of war-torn Europe, because obviously, generalistically speaking, most World War II fiction and non-fiction books go on mainly about the male aspect of war.
Yeah.
And they kind of forget that, especially during World War II, that there was a lot of females out there that actually played some major roles.
Absolutely. Now, the book also includes extensive travel, so how have your own travels influenced your writing? I guess particularly in capturing the settings and atmosphere of historical periods like World War II.
Well, very much so. I thought throughout the series they travel all over. You know, I'm not going to give anything away because I'm currently editing book 3, so I've got to be a bit careful what I say because I don't want to spoil it for the readers. But yeah, they do become quite extensively travelled. So obviously, I have included certain aspects of my travelling experiences, but again, I've had to temper that with the travelling in 1940s war-torn Europe and the world was very different to travelling around in the 20th century, of course. You know, so it. Again, you had to do your research, make sure it's, you know, the travelling is correct. You get all the documentation, correct IDs, and this sort of thing. There was every aspect of it really. I had to do quite an extensive research program. But so what I did was I just broke it down into its sections really. You know, what am I going to include, and then months and months of doing that, and then the next bit, and then the next bit, and then as I got it all collated and ready, that's when I started writing.
Absolutely. And one of the places that features in the book is, of course, Berlin. And the setting that you portray during World War II is both vivid and haunting. So what was your approach to world building and creating that sense of time and place?
Well, obviously over the years, I've seen quite a lot of documentaries. Done again extensive research on the internet, looked at pictures, gathered pictures, and so I have a folder here that is just cram-packed with European cities that were bombed, not bombed, you know, this sort of thing, and it's just a case of looking at pictures or pictures, and then collating that and putting that onto paper, and try and keep it as realistically as you possibly can, really.
Yeah, and it is quite difficult, I suppose, you know, with the locations and with pretty much everything about writing a historical fiction novel where I guess is there always going to be somebody that's, you know, upset with the portrayal of something. You can't get everything 100% right.
Well, of course you can't, no. There's going to be people out there, well, actually, your timing here was slightly out. It happened on this date and not this date, you know. At the end of the day, it's fiction.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. I try my hardest to keep my timelines correct and everything, but we're all human at the end of the day, and we're all, you know, able to make the odd little mistake here and there.
Absolutely. Now, the feedback from beta readers has been overwhelmingly positive. So, how does it feel to see your work resonate with readers from different parts of the world? Well,
absolutely, I'm elated by it, to be honest. From an author's point of view, to start getting 5-star reviews on Amazon and this sort of thing, it's just absolutely brilliant. And I do actually read every single one.
Wow.
And it's just a shame as well that on Amazon especially, you can't actually reply to them.
Oh.
You know, because it would be nice to be able to, you know, thank you so much, and you know, thank you for your support and all this sort of thing. But you can't actually reply. Well, I don't think you can. To be honest, I found Amazon as a platform, it's great for obviously self-publishing, but it can be quite difficult to navigate at some point. So maybe somebody can actually tell us whether you can or not. But yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But obviously, I'm on other platforms, and I do interact with readers on other platforms and the like. And you know, they ask me all sorts of questions and this sort of thing, which is great. I love interacting with my readers. It's an absolutely brilliant thing to do.
Yeah. That's annoying that you can't reply to the reviews, but maybe that's to stop people arguing with the bad ones, although there doesn't seem to be any of them in your case.
Well, no, there isn't. But even if I did get one, it's somebody's point of view, and you've got to respect somebody's point of view. Not everybody's going to like the book. Not everybody's going to like everything in all the books.
Yeah.
So you've got to take the rough with the smooth. And if somebody says something negative, then so be it. That is their opinion. They're entitled to that.
Absolutely. Now, what is the overall message that you hope readers will take away from Blue Ring Assassins and the series as a whole?
That females played a major part in World War II. It wasn't a male-dominated war. I think it's something that many people forget, as I said earlier, that the females actually played some major roles in and during World War II. They were on the front line. They were doing all sorts of things in all sorts of areas. So I think they need to be recognised more.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's set to become a trilogy series, of course. So what can we expect from the upcoming installments? And how will the story evolve beyond the events of the first book?
Well, obviously, we're coming into... because each book, obviously, is dated.
Yeah.
So you know which part of the World War II you're going through. So book 3 is obviously end of World War II. And so we are getting to the point where we're dealing with some of the direct aftermath of World War II. We touch upon that during the end of the book. But then obviously we've got going into the future. Books 4 and 5 are researched. Ready to go. But obviously I'm not starting those yet until we've got a little bit further through editing book 3, and then I shall start making a start on writing book 4. We're moving forward, certainly.
Yeah. So when would books 4 and 5 be set? Is that like after the war?
Yeah, book 4 is actually called Aftermath of War. And book 5 is the Cold War. And then we're going to move forward from there and onwards and upwards and carry on and continue through it. I probably will get to present day at some point.
Oh wow, that's
given the time, obviously, to write the books.
Yeah, and do you think you'll find it quite difficult? Because obviously World War II, is difficult to get right because it's such a widely covered part of history. But when you get to present day, it's maybe easier for the reader to notice mistakes or inaccuracies because they remember it themselves.
Of course, yeah. I mean, everything has got to be far more spot on, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I try to, as I say, do try to include historical and throughout the book series all the way up to present day. I will include some of the present day or the last 20 years or so events. But they will be only hinted upon, I think, in the later books, because it's going to be more about their development and what they turn into and who they are involved with, and what sort of missions they go on and for whom, which is, it's going to develop into quite a good series overall. And exciting, of course, because, again, these girls, they are assassins at the end of the day, and that's what they do for their money.
Yes.
But they diverse a little bit later into various other streams of the underworld.
Yeah. And do you have any ideas for projects outside of this series, or is this mainly what you'll be working on?
Well, it's funny you should ask that question, because I'm also, at the moment, currently writing book 1 of a new series. Again, it's based in World War II, but it's about a detective inspector based in Norwich.
Oh wow!
He goes off and he's solving crimes during the World War II period in and around the Norwich area.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. And in the meantime, where are we able to keep up to date with you and find the books for Blue Ring Assassins?
Well, you can find the books on Amazon, obviously. .com or .uk, doesn't matter which. And that's the only platform at the moment they're currently available on. I found it best to use just Amazon at the moment because it's worldwide, so anybody and everybody in every country can purchase the books if they want to from there. Obviously, you can keep up with myself. I'm on most platforms. Just put in Stephen Cohen, author, and you should come up with me somewhere. Goodreads, X, which is now known.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram. I've started a YouTube channel, and on there you'll find some of my visits to various World War II historical sites, this sort of thing. A bit, little snippets of my travels while I'm travelling around, past and present stuff on there. I've only just started that, so there's only a few videos up at the moment, but yeah, you can find me on there as well.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for joining us today. It's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Toby, for your time.